While the national media is trying to convince you that the sky is falling and that the housing market is crashing, if you've been watching this channel consistently, or if you've been actually paying attention and seeing what's happening in the market right now, you'll know that the Bay Area housing market is doing quite well. In this video, I'm going to be going over some up-to-the-minute data to show you exactly what's happening right now at the end of June going into July, and show you data that should convince all of us that this is going to be a very strong summer market here in the Bay Area. For those of you who are new to the channel, my name is Danny Gould. I'm the CEO of the Selling Silicon Valley Group. Over the last 8 years after graduating from Stanford University, I've helped well over 200 families buy and sell homes here in the San Francisco Bay Area. Over $200 million worth of real estate sold. You can check us out on Google, over 255-star reviews. I make videos for fun to help educate you and help educate the greater Bay Area marketplace on what's happening in real time. Because a lot of times what happens, and I'm sure that you've experienced this before, where the news and the information that you're being fed either through different media outlets or from your friends or your neighbors, a lot of that is like outdated. It's like the news cycle is like 90 to 180 days old. And this is like live, real-time data that we're going over for this month in June of 2023. So let's dive into the data. If you watched last week's Silicon Valley Snapshot, you'll know that the pending activity here in Santa Clara County is far outpacing the supply. So if you look at this graph right here, we have 1,090 homes for sale and 803 homes active on the market. So there's a big difference between pending and supply. And that tells us that the market is very strong here in Santa Clara County. And if you recall in last week's video, I said we really need to pay attention more than anything to inventory levels going into the summer, because if inventory levels stay flat or decline going into the summer months, when usually we are used to seeing inventory levels go up during the summer. We tend to see more homes come on the market during the summertime as people have more time to prepare their homes for sale and get them on the market and everything. There's also this like false narrative that a lot of home sellers have out there, which is like, it's better to sell my home during the summer. It's actually not true. It's better to sell in the spring or the fall, but that's besides the point. The fact is that more often than not, we see homes come on the market in June, July, August. More homes come on the market. And that's illustrated. If you look back in time last year, we had more homes coming on the market in June and July. So you see May of 2022, we had 1,300 homes on the market, more or less. And then in June, July, we had a big increase. And of course, this also had to do with the panic selling that was happening because sellers are like, oh my gosh, I missed the mark. Interest rates are rising. There's less buyers in the marketplace. So there was that added pressure as well on the market. But traditionally speaking, we do see more homes come on the market in the summer months. And so what we really want to pay attention to is what is happening to inventory levels. Well, so far, the data seems to indicate, at least here in Santa Clara County, that this is going to be a white hot summer. Look at the month to date, current month to date versus previous month to date. So previously in May, for the first 22 days of the month, so I'm shooting this on June 23rd. So May, for the first 22 days in May, we had 896 homes come on the market, and only 856 homes have come on the market so far this month in Santa Clara County, which is a slight decrease in inventory levels, negative 4.5%. Now, that might not seem like a big deal to you, but I'll explain why this is a big deal. Let's go back in time. Let's take the DeLorean and go back to 2016, 2017. Both good real estate markets here in the Bay Area, by the way. I don't think anyone can disagree or argue that 2016 or 2017 weren't like really good times to be a seller in the Bay Area. If we look at 2016's numbers, so let's look at June of 2016. We had 1,753 homes on the market. And then in May, we had 1,600 homes on the market. So from May to June, we had an increase in inventory levels, roughly more or less a 10% increase in inventory levels. Meanwhile, we saw pending activity drop off. We went from 1,497, so 1,500 we'll call it, to 1,413. So we saw about a 6 to 7% decrease in pending activity and a 10% increase in inventory levels. Now let's look at 2017. 2017 marked, by the way, the beginning of a massive run up. 2017 and 2018 were incredible times in the real estate market here in the Bay Area, just from a pricing appreciation standpoint. So in May of 2017, we saw a peak in inventory or in pending activity there. In May of 2017, we had 1,669 homes pending, and then 1,560 homes pending in June. So we see a decrease in pending activity, both from May to June in 2016 as well as 2017, and we see a decrease. We saw a decrease in inventory levels. And this was actually one of the first times. So if you look back even further at the data, you'll see that like typically we would see what happened in 2016, which is May to June, an increase in inventory levels. This is one of the first times where we saw inventory levels decrease. And we all know what happened that summer. Prices went through the roof. What are some takeaways? What can we take away from this data? Well, number one, it is fairly common to see a drop-off in pending activity from May to June. Even in the white hot market that we saw in 2017, that was the case. But the difference was that in 2016, we saw inventory levels go up, and in 2017, we saw inventory levels go down. Also notice that in 2016, inventory levels outpaced pending activity versus 2017, we saw pending activity outpace supply. So let's look at the current month to date from June to May, and we see inventory levels have come down, much like they did in 2017. Now, pendings are also down. So let's just right there, pendings are down. Now, or it would be a real news story if pendings were going up and inventory levels were coming down. But that's not the case. But we know, and we've seen previously in previous years, that pendings have come down from May to June. But historically speaking, the difference between a good summer market and a hot summer market is what happens to inventory levels from May to June. And right now, as it stands in Santa Clara County, there's only a few days left for this narrative to change. And mind you, it could change. But so far, it's looking like at the very least, it's going to stay neutral. It's going to stay flat, which is not what buyers want to hear right now if you're buying a home in Santa Clara County. It is great news for home sellers who are planning to put their home on the market this summer, because that means you are actually going to have less competition than you might have guessed you were going to bump up against. And by the way, we can generate a report just like this for you based on the area or the neighborhood or the zip code that you're looking in if you're a home buyer, or if you're a home seller, if you'd like something that is specific to the neighborhood or the area that your property is located in as well. So if you're a home buyer looking for that kind of report, you can text the word data plus the neighborhood or the zip code or the area that you're looking in, and we'll get that sent straight to your inbox. Same thing if you are a seller. If you're thinking about selling your home, you can text the word data plus your property address to the number down below, and we will get a comparative data set just like this one sent straight to your inbox. Now, I know what all of you are thinking right now is like, well, Danny, maybe that's just Santa Clara County. Well, I went ahead and also pulled this data for the East Bay. And what I did was I actually pulled the cumulative data for Contra Costa and Alameda counties combined, just to give us a bigger data set to pull from. And the results might shock you. So in 2023, as it stands for the East Bay combined, 1,749 homes pending in May, and 66 homes active on the market. So obviously pendings are outpacing supply. And by the way, if you watched last week's video, you'll know that that was true in Contra Costa and Alameda. So it makes sense that combined, it's just going to simply tell you the same story, which is pendings are outpacing supply in Contra Costa and Alameda and Santa Clara County. That is the narrative. Here's the difference is that in the East Bay, we are actually seeing inventory levels rise. And so I said, hey, let's pay attention to inventory levels, because if they stay neutral or go down, we're in for a white hot summer. But if they go up, then we should definitely pay attention, because it might be a more traditional summer market. Now, here's the thing though. Let's look back at 2017, because this is where it gets interesting. You look at the numbers from May to June in 2017, which is, you remember, that's the white hot year where things got really interesting. You see inventory levels go up about 10% and pendings go down about 10%. Notice how pendings are still outpacing supply in both those scenarios. And let's look back at 2016. So in 2016, we saw inventory levels rise and rise pretty dramatically, about 13% or so. Pendings barely dropped off at all. But in the white hot market of 2017, we see pendings decrease about 10% and inventory levels increase about 10%. And isn't that funny? How that is basically what is playing out right now in the East Bay, where inventory levels have gone up 10% and pendings have come down actually a little bit less. So they've only come down 6%. So let's see how this continues to play out. But what's going to happen? Pendings are still going to be outpacing supply in the East Bay come July. That's pretty much a given at this point. Same thing with Santa Clara County. We knew, historically speaking, that it was probable that pendings were going to come down from May to June. That has happened almost every single year. But I did say what we need to pay attention to is what is happening to inventory levels. In a more normal market like we had in 2016, look at what happened in the East Bay. Look at how drastically that active inventory shot up from May to June. That's not happening this year. And it's for that very reason that if you look at this data and you're thinking, wow, like, what does that mean for me? Well, what that means for you is that if you are buying a home in the East Bay, or if you're buying a home in Santa Clara County, chances are you're going to have less homes to choose from than you typically do in the summertime. And so just statistically speaking, you're going to have less homes. And not only that, but like, let's just compare these numbers real quick, right? So in 2016, in June, for example, there were 3,300 homes active on the market. If we kind of extrapolate those numbers out and see like what's going to be available in June of this year, of 2023, we're looking at like maybe 1,600 homes active on the market. That is like less than half of the homes that were available in June of 2016. And that was just like a good market, right? And then in 2017, obviously there were less homes on the market, but even still in June of 2017, there were like 2,600 homes active on the market. And then this year we'll have, about 1,000 less than that in the East Bay. And same thing goes to Santa Clara County. You look at the numbers in 2016, there were 1,700 homes active on the market in 2016 in June. And in June of 2017, 1,079 homes on the market. And this year we are going to have probably like 800-ish, give or take. So any way you slice it, inventory levels are dramatically low right now, lower than they were when the market was good before. And so the reason that that's important is because at some point, like something's got to give. And that's what we've been seeing over these last couple of months, is that the lack of inventory has really kept this market alive and it's kept it going. And that narrative is not seemingly going to change this summer. Now, let's imagine a world where things in the housing market here stay relatively stable for the next 6 months. Meanwhile, interest rates come down a little bit. Could you imagine what would happen in that scenario? Things are going to go gangbusters. So if I were a buyer and I were looking at this information, what it would tell me is that this market probably isn't going anywhere anytime soon. And any manipulation by the Fed to rates is going to put a ridiculous amount of pressure on prices. The market has weathered the storm, so to speak, and likely we are past the worst of it, which was basically the summer and fall of last year. And it's picked itself back up. The buyers who buy right now, I honestly believe, are going to build a lot of equity for themselves. Sellers, if you can hold off on selling for like probably, I don't know, like another 6-9 months or so, next spring is probably going to be a very, very good time to sell your home. So if you can wait that long, then absolutely do it, because chances are you're going to be in a even better situation than you're in right now. But if you're a buyer, the good news for you is that if you look at homes that sold last year at this same time, you're probably still getting anywhere from like a 10, maybe a 15% discount if you're lucky, maybe as low as like 5% discount year over year, meaning looking at homes that sold a year ago in the same neighborhood, you're still getting a deal. You're still getting homes for less than you would have gotten them a year ago. If you're a buyer and you're looking at this data, it's really hard to overlook the fact that inventory levels aren't really going anywhere. And the only thing that would cause more inventory, in my opinion, to come on at this point is if prices go up, because sellers are holding on to the prices that they saw like spring of last year. And so until we get there, that might be the time where we start to see more inventory come on the market. But by then, you've already lost all of that equity that you could have gained by buying sooner rather than later. Anyways, just some food for thought for you as we head into the 4th of July weekend. And if you have made it this far in the video, you're not yet subscribed to the channel, what are you waiting for? Click the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and give us a thumbs up while you're at it. It costs you nothing, helps us get in front of more Silicon Valley home buyers and sellers just like you. Have a happy 4th of July, everyone. This is Danny Gould, Selling Silicon Valley, and I will catch all of you in the next video.